Hi guys, welcome back to SwitchUp. What an incredible sale this has been for both regions, and finally the US region has theirs. If you want more games, then do check out the other half of our sales video. I'll pop a link to that in the description. That was originally the EU side, but I know that that's now all of those games essentially are in the US until December the 1st. This is the US region side though, so some of these will be US only. You can tell by the price at the bottom of the screen. First things first, we must announce the winners of our recent Disney competition where we were giving away some kids picks. Congrats to these people on the screen, you have won a free game. I think there's 6 of you. We'll be doing another 6 in a couple of weeks, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel and all the notifications and that malarkey are switched on. Thanks to Atlas VPN who have sponsored this episode, and with all of that said, what is on sale? Well, oh dear, I think I could audibly hear some wallets creaking. Let's find out. First up then, clocking in at 19.02 gigs, it's the Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Rogue bundle. You're looking at 65 hours of glorious gameplay, and it's old school Assassin's Creed. The Rebel Collection includes the Black Flag, which was my favourite of all the games, and I think it still is. Being able to ride the Jackdaw was incredible. I think they could have gone further with the customization, and in all honesty, I'd love it if they did a sequel just to this one, with some of the new elements in there, but they're classic games. Rogue saw you playing as, in air quotes, the enemy, and it's well worth playing through that if you haven't done so already. If you've not played an Assassin's Creed game, wow, I don't know what to say really. Maybe skip the first one and go straight to number 2, but still, they're well worth playing, and they run well on the Switch, have motion controls, and look decent in handheld, particularly on the small OLED screen. That goes on until December the 1st, as do all the others, so that's the last time I'll say the date they finish. Massive thanks to Atlas VPN who have sponsored this episode. It's a tool that encrypts your data and it hides your virtual location. Essentially, when you connect to a VPN server, it assigns your device with a new IP address and DNS. All the traffic is then encrypted and routed towards the VPN server. The VPN then decrypts this, allowing the traffic to reach the desired destination. And there are a few reasons why you might want this. Firstly, you might want to remain private in terms of your location. Secondly, and one that I've definitely used myself, is trying to access streaming services that aren't available in your country. Things like Hulu, which you can't get here in the UK. If you use a VPN from the US, you can then watch Hulu services. Another one is buying air tickets or any products really that aren't from your region. They're usually tied to an IP address which will change the prices based on where you're at. Atlas VPN is supported on any device, and currently they are running a huge discount on their 3-year deal, but this is just $1.39 per month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's not going to last very long, so do make sure you check it out by clicking the link in the description or the top pin comment. $1.39. I mean, that's cheaper than most of the Avoid games in these videos. There's only a limited number of those, so if you want to try out the VPN, click the link in the top pin comment. Right, let's get on. Now, this is my pickup this time around because it was previously just too high, although I've completed it multiple times on the PC. And it's Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, the enhanced editions, which are 70% off. That's their lowest ever prices by a country mile, and they have a download size of 6.2 gigs. Now, these were ported across, I believe, originally to mobile devices by Beamdog, and they've also published this. And if you've not played them, well, they're classic. They use the old AD&D rules. You create a character, you can do things like creeping around, stealing items from houses, and very much these were the inspiration for some of the greatest in the series. Things like Divinity 2, which has, you know, probably superseded this. This is where it all began in terms of this gameplay style, narrative devices, and just pure quality. Now, it does, you know, it has aged a little bit, but as far as that narrative goes, my goodness, these games are incredible. Definitely worth your consideration for classic RPG fans. That is US and Canada only, I believe. Another one down to its lowest ever is God Eater 3. This is 14.8 gigs, comes from Bandai Namco, and is awesome. Very much a bit akin to Monster Hunter, except it's a lot faster paced. Your weapon is a little more flexible in that you can switch between its different modes. So you could be hacking and slashing and then shooting within the same fight. Online, you're looking at up to 8 players. I'm sure with the amount of reductions this has seen, there should be a few people online to get on games with, but 84% off, and it actually has a decent storyline. Nothing against Monster Hunter Rise, which I love, but let's be honest, the Monster Hunter storytelling isn't the greatest. Fighting these huge beasts with up to 8 of you, and if you do get a game with 8, it's just epic. Here's one that I played through that I wish I could have got a review out for. It's Far Lone Sails. This is probably our hidden gem of the week, I reckon. It's 75% off at the moment and only has a 2.1 gigabyte download. It's very short. This is a nice bite-sized sit indoors when it's cold outside with the fire on or the radiator. And it's only about 4 hours, as I say. You're traversing a dried-out seabed littered with the remains of this decaying civilization. In terms of atmosphere, it has almost like Waterworld vibes to it, and you have to maintain and upgrade your vehicle to overcome numerous obstacles and natural hazards. I think they've already announced it, but there's a sequel coming that I'm really looking forward to. A really nice game, and something a little bit different, and it's also very cheap. This one's on sale in all the regions, so yeah, pick this up. Another one that's on sale in all the regions is Subnautica. Subnautica Below Zero, the sequel, is also on sale, and you can get the double pack at 50% off on Amazon if you're a physical collector. But for this one, we'll look at the first game. It's half price, taking it down to $19.99. And you essentially crash land on a planet. You have not a jot to your name, you have to repair your little pod, and then you go on these water-based excursions. As you progress, you unlock new schematics and items and gear, and then you can build little submarines. You can also build a full base, which is awesome. And then you head down to the depths to spelunk and look for like different, I won't say buried items, but items at the bottom of the ocean. And the lower you go, the greater the pressure increases. And it also gets super dark. It's pretty creepy, and it's just a really nice, well-designed game. The sequel is also good, so you might want to check that out as well. But this one is 5.09 gigs, and its sale ends the same as all the others, December the 1st. The Last Campfire is a brilliant game. This is 60% off at the moment. It has a 2.5 gigabyte download, and it comes from Hello Games. The same Hello Games linked to Sean Murray. However, I believe this was a small side team, but it's really a nice little puzzle adventure. It's got excellent music, a lovely soundtrack, and also like those visuals. It's a well-told story where you'll have to discover these strange lost entities, and certainly I can see the Alice in Wonderland inspirations in some of the people you meet, like the giant frog creature, or is he a toad? I'm not sure. But during the 6 or so hour long adventure, I found that it was one of those that doesn't outstay its welcome. The new mechanics are sensible and smart, and it's a very well-rounded experience, so you come out feeling quite satisfied. Last week, the kids' pick was Xenoblade Chronicles the Definitive Edition. This week, we'll have it as Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now, full disclaimer, she hasn't actually started playing this one, but I've lined it up ready for her. Now, I've played through it, but she's going to be hitting this one up after the Chronicles Definitive Edition. It's currently 30% off pretty much anywhere. If you want to buy it physically, it's also 30% off. It's 13.1 gigs, so it's not too bad. And if you're a completionist, you're looking at over 200 hours of gameplay. Do you remember when you were a kid and you actually had the time to do that? Like, oh, it's just unbelievable. My kids can sit for days on end and it doesn't matter. They can just enjoy playing games. That upsets me, but fair play to them. I did the same when I was their age. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 features the lead Rex, and like the others, these islands are set on the back of these huge beasts that fly through the sky. A bit like that turtle in Discworld, if anyone remembers Discworld, what series that was. This hasn't seen a sale this year, so this is the first time it's actually dropped this year, so well worth picking it up if you're considering it. Next up then, we've got Felsil Arbiter's Mark, and if you finished Arbiter's Mark, try the DLC Arbiter's Mark Missions and Monsters. But this is an absolute hidden gem. Like, this is a gold standard hidden gem on Switch, and one that unfortunately dropped at a time where there were some reviews that just had to be covered. It has a download of 1.7 gigabytes, so it's nothing big, and you're looking at over 60 hours of quality gameplay. This isn't just, there for the sake of it. It's a tactical RPG, and it has a really good storyline. There are 200 different abilities to unlock. Your army, so it is genuinely a small army that you control. There are 240 different pieces of equipment to find and use and purchase, and you can also scavenge, and this I love. I mean, they need to have this in all tactical games. You can scavenge the gear from fallen enemies or create your own using crafting. Just brilliant, well worth it. And if you do own it, think about checking out that DLC, which is also 66% off. This is an essential purchase. From there then we head over to the Banner Saga games. Now 1, 2 and 3 are all 80% off at the moment, but obviously you're going to want to start at the first. They come from developer Stoic and were published by Versus Evil, and they have a download size of 3.9 gigs, and they are brilliant. They mix storytelling and decision making, so you have a large group with you, and you as the leader get to make all of the choices and decisions. A bit like, I would guess, one of those choose your own adventure books. Do you remember back in the day, and you had to make choices, and then sometimes these would be good and sometimes there'd be negative outcomes, but then they mix this with some really nice strategic combat that again is tactics based. It comes on an isometric view, and the art style is just delightful. Now I wouldn't say that the combat is as good as some of the sequels, so in the second and third games that improves, but I mean you could buy all 3 of these for less than $30. They're great games, and it's definitely worth that. Last up then, before we look at a couple you should avoid, we've got Ashen, but chiefly I don't want to mention, well I do want to mention Ashen. It's $19.99 and it's absolutely awesome, and is a little bit open world Souls-like, but there's also kind of a town improvement mechanic in there as well. There are 3 different brutal bosses, but it's actually the Nightstorm Isle DLC, which no one seems to know about, which is on Switch. It's $4.99 at the moment. That's 62% off, and I thought it was a really good addition. Now it's only about 3 or 4 hours extra. I would suggest checking out Ashen though. I thought it was really good. It comes from Annapurna Interactive and was developed by A44. There is co-op multiplayer, but it uses one of those annoying online systems where it's like randomized with a code, I believe. I can't even remember, I never got it to work. But if you're after a Souls-like that's a little bit different than usual, then this one was actually written by fantasy author Mark Lawrence, who wrote the Broken Empire trilogy. It's 4.9 gigs, and it is obviously the thumbnail image is this game, because I always use it because it looks delightful. Alright then, now it's time to look at a few games you should avoid, well a couple of games you should avoid. First of those, you've got Pillars of Eternity, the complete edition, and it's the cheapest it's ever been. I actually reviewed this when it came out, and I'd say people often ask, you know, do you ever look back at a review and think, oh, and this one, of every review I've ever done, I missed some things. There's just no two ways about it. You know, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I missed a lot of the fact that the mechanics in it weren't actually firing off. So I'd use an ability and think, yeah, happy days, I've used that, good stuff. But actually, upon reflection and going back to it, there are lots of abilities and mechanics that just don't work right. So I hold my hands up with that one. Now, they've patched it up a few times since launch, but I believe they've now said that no, we can't patch it up any further. Is it worth the price? Honestly, I'd say yes. Personally, I would pay that for it. I still think it's a good game, but it's almost you'll be supporting a practice which is a little bit dodgy. It's like, hey, this is bad, but we're not gonna finish patching it. They'll move on to the sequel, won't they? Which is due to come out as well, but has been massively delayed for as long as I can remember. So yeah, you know, it's one to think about. But on that one, I have to hold my hands up and say, yeah, I missed some things. You know, it is what it is. We are only human. Next, we have Wolfenstein Young Blood. Now, Wolfenstein 2 is on sale at the moment. Just buy that. There are, you know, you can have some fun with Young Blood, but it's just cringy. It's an absolute cringe fest. I don't mind there being 2 female protagonists. I don't care, honestly, but the writing between them is just naff. Bring back BJ Blazkowicz, please. And that is it for this week. As I say, make sure you subscribe. Leave those comments if you want to enter our next 6 games giveaway. If you're not on our Twitter, we are at SwitchUpG. We've got quite a nice little group over there, as well as on our Discord. There's a link to the Discord in the description, and that's got a lovely community. You're looking at over 2,000 SwitchUp people from this community, and they send out their friend code, so you've always got people to play with. They're always chatting, and yeah, it's just amazing, really. Thanks to the sponsor of this video, and to all of you who watch, and to our patrons. You guys are awesome. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!